And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. This is a snack pack, everyone. It's Gerald Glass. Come right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, all those great shows wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, big shout out to everyone out there that supports us, and also our friends like Lakerholics.com, also as well Empire Jeff TV, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yo, he didn't even tell me he was at the game. He was at the game live yesterday, Lucas, along with Raphael. So go ahead and check out what they're doing today at Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Also, as well, of course, our good friend Stone Hansen. Of course, John Costa, Clutch Talk of Lakers Corner, Lakers Live, Legend 350. I'll be on his show over the weekend. Plus, also as well, of course, good friend Alfred Esmond, all these great people. Please like and support, but don't forget to like and support us by giving us that thumbs up right there below you. Also, as well, subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. And also for our members, I'm coming up with some little things for you if you're a member. So stay tuned. You'll be getting some things over the course of the next few days from us. Little tidbits here, little tidbits there, stuff you'll get to see first. Because if you remember, you get those little tidbits for you for just $2.99 a month from a great place that we all know and love right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Well, today, in the afterglow of Luka's debut as a Laker, we got news that the Lakers have proceeded to go ahead and find a buyout guy previously destined for Indiana, sports babies neck of the woods. So he decided to shun the Indiana Pacers, reason why they signed Jahlil Okafor, and instead, with the fallout from the Mark Williams trade being rescinded, still being argued about by Charlotte Hornets, but the Lakers ended up signing 7-footer Alex Len, journeyman center, played last with the Sacramento Kings. He was a former lottery pick, not exactly had the career intended for a lottery pick, but a 7-footer with size, 7 foot, around 250. Gives us size, a little bit of strength, has a little bit of mobility, has bounced around the league, has at times shown some touch from the outside, although I don't think that the Lakers would be counting on that. So I'm here today to ask you guys and also ask Joe Soro, is Alex Len a possible stopgap, band-aid, whatever you want to call it, for the Lakers centers issues that they might have for now and upcoming in a playoff run? And here today to go ahead and discuss that is a good friend indeed. It is, of course, the man behind Ox1947 at Lakersball.com. There's also as well his game, Corrupt, Coreupt on Steam, which right now Steam is running a winter sale. So you save money on some other games, then you go buy Corrupt. Is Corrupt on sale for the winter sale, Joe? Do you know?
There will be a sale soon.
Okay, well, there you go. You heard it from the Dodger fan mouth right there. It is, of course, Joe Soro. Joe, great to have you here. Looking forward to a good show. Your thoughts, though, on Alex Len? Again, not much out there, not much to choose from. I mean, I would have even tried out Moses Brown because he's been playing so well in the G League as far as just give him a look. Obviously, again, because they gave him a look in summer, didn't like what they saw, I guess. But Alex Len is the guy that they're choosing now. He is not lighting the world on fire, leaving Sacramento, but you never know. The 7-footer, 250, he's 5 extra fouls in Jokic, Joe, and sometimes that's only the thing you need.
Yeah, we're going to need something to, I guess, set in front of whatever defense we need to set. I don't really know I don't know how this is going to play out. Alex Len is not a good player. He hasn't done much for probably a year, almost a year, more than a year, actually.
Well, since that playoff run that they had, Sacramento and Gold State, he had like 1 or 2 games where he was effective, and outside of that, yeah, it's not been too pretty. You're off. You're now quiet, Joe. Whatever you did just now, it just quieted your new mic setup. So no, I can't hear you now. All right, Joe's trying this new mic setup out there. He's got to get the hang of it here, but it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Kobina says Len should be in JJ Redick's house every night watching tape on Jokic. Has he been a DNP? Yes, Ali, he's been a DNP he's only played about 30 some odd games. I got to get the total right now for you, but yes, he has not played in every game for Sacramento. But again, when you have such I guess a weakness at one position, you're looking for any warm body that could get in there, and Alex Len is that, unfortunately, that warm body that we got. He has played in Sacramento 36 games, not even scored 2 points or 2 rebounds. Hasn't gotten up there yet. He's only at 1-1. Career, he's 6-5 for his career. His 3-point percentage is around 32%, so he can stretch it out to the floor to 3-point range if asked. But overall, it's been kind of a disappointing career for him because he was a high-end lottery pick. Joe, are you with me right now? Are you still with me? No, you're still silent, my friend. You're still silent. Yeah. Bloodhound Alex Len is a career backup. He'll be a big body and a foul sponge. Exactly what I'm thinking. As Joe's still. Oh, you're red. Now you're green. Yes, there you go. You hit the off button. That was it. Yeah, that was it.
Good deal.
Yes. All right. So give me the thoughts, my friend. Uh, Gervis says I would have killed them. At least give Jamarian Sharp a look. At least I would have actually Moses Brown. Just because he's playing so well in the G League right now. But again, we're just grasping at straws, I think, when you're talking about that. Your thoughts on Alex Len once again about how this may be the only thing that the Lakers get to help their center need for this season.
Space occupier is what his deal's going to be. There is no other reason to have Alex Len in this team. Space occupier. He's not likely going to be used in any offensive, maybe even a defensive specific setup, but an occupier. The Lakers don't have really any other options. No team really has any other options when you see what's available on the buyout market. Buyout market usually is. I compared it to assistant coaches. There's a lot of names that can pop up that may make you feel a certain way, but the reality is they're assistant coaches or they're buyout players for a reason. That means they're not good enough to be regular rotational type players. Lakers are desperate at this point to get any kind of big in there, and there's no other way other than to go to Alex Len at this point. Guys like Alex Len. Alex Len takes up a lot of space, and the Lakers are going to likely have to outscore their opponent here the rest of the way and just do enough to where maybe they can hold off on the defensive end so that they can do what they need to do on offense.
Yes, Kurt, I posted that in the WhatsApp for the guys earlier today. They still have flexibility because they did waive Christian Wood, but they still have flexibility under the first tax apron to the second tax apron, mind you, because they're in the first tax apron. Under the tax apron that they're in, they still have the flexibility to sign someone else or give Jordan Goodwin or Trey Jamison, who would be my two candidates from the two-way players, to bump one of them up, either as an enforcer with Jamison or Goodwin as a backup guard. Your thoughts? Again, we don't know if somebody else will go ahead and want an out clause at this point in time. Again, when doing so, they do give up their bird rights, which for some, let's say like a Larry Nance, who is still showing to be an effective player playing off the bench in Atlanta, it would probably not be financially advisable for him to go ahead and just walk off unless he really wants to play with a contender at this point in time. Your thoughts on where the Lakers might turn to next? Again, not the whole lot of great choices out there. Maybe bump up one of the two-way guys and cut Reddish. Yeah, that's the thing we're doing right now. But the revenge tour is over for Los Angeles with Christian Wood.
So I don't know what their next step is. I don't know if anything's going to matter in the end here. Can you hear me good, Gerald?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Good. I'm not going to really worry too much about it. I think Rob and the team have a good idea on what they want to do.
Yes.
Where the Lakers right now are pretty much a set team. Everyone knows who they are. Everyone knows that they're going to be a offense-centric team and just need to hold their own in terms of the defensive side. I don't see any other reason to look at this setup in any other way. You can wish for them to be a better defensive team, which in a lot of ways they've been playing really good team defense the last few weeks. But when they start playing the elite teams, I think that's where we're going to have to wait and see how they develop what the new guys and new bigs that are coming in, how they're going to acclimate to the setup. We have to let this team kind of do what it needs to do before we can kind of dictate or analyze what they're doing.
Yeah, Ali, I would not go Coloco again. If you're thinking about who could give you some strength, 5 fouls against Luca, Jameson looks much stronger than Coloco. Coloco, yes, he does have the rim running capability, stuff like that, as far as what Jackson Hayes already gives you, and Alex Len can do a little bit of himself. I just think that if you're looking for size and strength, especially not Joe only for Jokic, but for the two bigs like Hartenstein, and also as well what they're doing in OKC. So again, this is not just for Jokic. You need big bodies against both those teams, and I just don't think Coloco at this point in time is really back 100% from what he was by taking a year off for the blood clot issue, because he is still really thin, and I don't think he could hold up in a playoff series.
No, Coloco, Jemison. Is it Jameson or Jemison?
I think it's Jemison.
Yeah, Jemison. Those guys are not gonna hang too long. Heck, even Jackson Hayes is going to struggle against elite front lines. And Oklahoma City has an elite front line. So does Denver. If they don't get this thing figured out in terms of the offense and the flow and the chemistry, and let the defense kind of do just enough so that they can allow the offense to flourish, then there's going to likely be an issue there.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Of course, it is again the Lakers signing Alex Len to a contract for the rest of the season. Again, they do have the ability to sign one more if they waive. Most likely Cam Reddish. So your thoughts? Is that the route you would go? Is it time for Cam Reddish to be over? Is the cardio bros, as Sean likes to put it, over and done with in LA?
Yeah, Cam Reddish is burnt toast at this point. I don't know what his value is. Christian Wood was the first to go. I think Cam Reddish should be the next one, or maybe even Shake Milton at this point. They're just not equipped to handle this type of atmosphere. Whether that's enough to get this thing figured out, we're not going to know until they start playing in the games that really matter, in series that matter.
Okay. I don't disagree with you there, because I just don't know what perimeter defense Cam Reddish gives, but at this point you can't really count on his offense. That's just another player like Vanderbilt, where it's just so offensively challenged. It's going to be hard to keep both those guys on the floor. I understand he has some size and whatnot, but yeah, at this point you've got to, if you really like and you really think Goodwin might help you in a playoff stretch more, then maybe you would want to go choose to cut him. It all depends. Who would help you more in a playoff run? A guy like Goodwin, guy like Jameson, or a guy like Reddish?
The question is, who would help between Reddish and Jameson?
Reddish, Jameson, and Goodwin, because you got to make a choice on one. One is only going to be, because both those two-way guys can't play in the playoffs.
Goodwin has shown the last couple games that he can score.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you're going to have to go with someone, it would be Goodwin.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been really not an NBA player for about a year. Comes in and has flourished in just the basics of scoring and things like that. The Lakers need big men. The Lakers need a front line that can compete with elite front lines like Oklahoma City or Denver. My look on it is, if there's some luck that goes their way where they can only have to face one of those two teams in the playoffs, I think they can handle one. I don't know if they can handle two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where
Okay.
I stand on it right now. Chemistry could play a factor in it where it improves. Alex Len may be one of those guys that Luca and LeBron are able to enhance his skill set in that setup. This has to this has to be waited on to see what exactly is going to happen with this particular talent pool.
Okay.
I don't have really an assessment. I've never seen Alex Len play on a team that has a LeBron James or a Luka Doncic. Last game we saw a I'd say a decent backup center score 6 for 6 at the field. Most of those were all pick and roll lobs. Is that enough? Is that enough on the offensive end? Yes. I don't know if it's enough on the defensive end, though.
Natalia, yes. I do think we match up better against Denver. Oh, do we think we match up better against Denver? Okay, see, Denver, because the only big that's there you really have to concern yourself with is Jokic. All the others, MPJ. If you just keep a body on him, you can try and slow him down. Aaron Gordon, if he gets hot, then that's obviously an X factor there. But I would take my chances against Denver over OKC because OKC has a ton of bodies they're going to throw out at you defensively, plus two big guys right there in the middle. That because now that they got both big guys healthy in the middle, Joe, it's going to be really difficult. And again, they have so much flexibility with size, with strength, and with defensive ability. Their problem is outside of Shea, will they get the offense that they need? So if the Lakers can find some way to match up as far as offensively that's to their advantage, then that's a different story. But yeah, I think looking at it on surface, Joe, right now, I'd say I'd go against Denver rather than OKC.
I wouldn't worry too much about what needs to be done in a few months. The Lakers need to focus on making what's going on right now continue to work. We're not really going to know really how this ends up. So, but we do know that LeBron and Luke are going to work. How they're going to work, how long they're going to work, can they work in a complete 48-minute game, offense and defense? Probably not going to know it to the playoffs. However, I'm going to look at it this way. So the Lakers have played Denver the last couple of years, and I'm going to ask you this question, Gerald. Do you think that Anthony Davis was a factor in stopping Denver in any way, like even maybe limiting their dominance in those series a little bit?
A little bit, yes, because he had some really good games. He never really slowed down Jokic. In fact, they would always divert to Rui to playing some time against Jokic. But there were times, Joe, there were games where he actually put some monster numbers on the board himself.
Okay. So now let's say it doesn't matter whether AD's in the lineup or not. Or let's say Denver is able to score 5 more points a game because AD's not in there. Is that a safe question to ask?
Yeah.
What happens on the offensive side on the Lakers side? Denver has had an issue, even though they have a winning record against Luca. It's 10-9. They've generally had better teams than Dallas, but Luca has a very good record in terms of individual statistics against Denver. Now he's playing with LeBron James. He's playing with a team that clearly has chemistry on its side, and it's getting better, it seems like, every game. What happens now if the offense efficiency and the offense execution goes up, and then you have a slight negative on the defense? Is that enough to beat Denver?
Right now, with what they have, I think it's a toss 'em. It's a pick 'em. I think with Denver. I think again, if you have Luca getting some monster numbers, if he gets back into shape, that Dallas final run shape that we saw, Joe, I think he can give the Lakers, uh, or he can't give Denver all they can handle with him and LeBron getting monster numbers. If they go off in a 7-game series against Denver, and Denver struggles. Let's put it this way. Let's go back to the playoffs last season with Denver and LA. If it had been changed around and been Luca instead of AD, Do you think they would have struggled down the stretch? Because they had leads, Joe. They were up 20 points in what, game two, if I'm not mistaken? They were up at several points of time. In every single game, they were up. With Luca, do you think they would have had a better chance of pulling it off?
Well, you have to ask yourself a question. Did AD play a part in extending that lead to 20 points? If he did, then we don't really know. But if the Lakers get 20-point leads with this particular setup, there's not likely going to be a fallout at the end because Luka
But
Doncic,
you mentioned that Doncic is a closer.
yes,
So that's
one of the few closers. De'Aaron Fox is one. He actually won an award for being clutch. I don't know who else is out there other than Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic, besides the statistics or the awards, to me, is the only real Mamba mentality player that's out there. Not Luka. I'm sorry, not Jokic, not Joel Embiid, not Giannis, not Shea Gilgis Alexander. There isn't a player on in the NBA right now that I think of. I might be wrong here, guys. There's not a player in the NBA, especially in those elite teams or really good teams, that I sit there and go, "Holy crap! Be careful! This guy is going to drain you." And even to some degree, De'Aaron Fox isn't someone I really fear. Luca is the only NBA player. If you talked to me even 10 days ago and you sat me down and said, Joe, who is the guy you fear the most in the NBA right now in 2025 with 10 seconds left on the floor? It wouldn't have even been a hesitation. It would have been Luka Doncic.
mm,
So the Lakers, after all these seasons, they won in 2020, but they didn't really necessarily need that type of player. They were so good and so equipped and so like locked in. They did get it a little bit. AD did hit a game winner in the Western Conference Finals in Game 2, but sometimes that happens. Sometimes a really good player, really great player will hit a game winner. But I'm talking about consistency. I'm talking about someone day in and day out, game in and game out, that's going to put the fear of God in that team if there's a few minutes left in the game, because they know that this person can step back, shoot a three, go to the paint, distribute it a certain way, hit the mid range. It doesn't matter. That's what Luka Doncic has, and we're not going to probably see this at full throttle until maybe about 2 or 3 weeks when Luka gets into really good shape, and that'll be right around that time where the Lakers hit their really strong. They're going to hit their really strong schedule. That's where I think the Lakers are going to be able to divide themselves, whether they're going to be the 6th or 5th seed or whether they're going to be anywhere between 2 and 3. 2 and 3 and 4 are going to be huge advantages if they're able to get those seeds, because once they have home court advantage, that means they're going to be able to dictate how to start this playoff for the first time since 2012. 2020 was an outlier because that was not at home. It was a bubble. It was on the road for everyone. So I'm not going to put that in the fact. I'm not going to factor that in. 2012 is the last time the Lakers had home court advantage in the first round, where they played the first 2 games at home.
want to go ahead and say this right now. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Got a nice big crowd again. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is a snack pack. It's Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Don't forget tomorrow, we'll bring the scoreboard and chat on the simulcast, as we always do. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Join us, possibly become a VIP, which will give you our look at inside at the game itself. But if not, you can join us in the chat or also as well on YouTube or Facebook as well. Just always a great time. And then, of course, the best post game that's out there, nowhere else. Don't go to those other guys. It's right here at the Lakers Fast Break. But Joe, again, it's going to take time for this to all mesh and really look good. But the Lakers right now, 9 out of the last 10. It's really good right now as they head into Utah. Did get the news that both DFS and Gabe will not be playing tomorrow due to various ailments that they're recovering from. Luke and LeBron are still slated to play in the game at this point in time. I do not know the status of Alex Len. I think he still has to take a physical, which in recent days has been more important than ever. But I want to hear your thoughts on the Lakers as they head to Utah again to finish off this part of the season. Man, it would be really nice to finish it off with a victory in Salt Lake.
Utah is always a sensitive area to play due to its elevation and just history of playing in Utah. However, Utah is so bad right now. I fully expect the Lakers to go in there and finish this thing off for the first half of the year. Go in with an 8 game winning streak, so that when they get out of there, they can continue this role that they're in. Every win counts. Every win matters at this point when you're as tight as they are in the West. And then they're going to get their true test here in about 4 games when they place Denver in Denver on the 22nd of February. Going to get a lot of understanding of what this team is by then. And I'm thinking if Luka goes in there, drops 25, 8, and 7, and gets a win. Hell, even if he goes 26 and 4, but they get the win, there's going to be a shift in Denver. Because right now, Denver looks at the Lakers like a peasant. They know they got them by the balls. And what the Lakers have to do on the 22nd is go in there. I'm looking ahead because I'm not really too concerned about Charlotte or Portland. Even if they went 1-1 in those games, it doesn't matter. It's the Denver game that people are going to be paying attention to. If the Lakers go into Denver and win that game, Denver's psyche, Denver's advantage is going to take a hit. And they're going to start thinking, oh my God, they have Luka now. We can't do what we did before. That's what needs to happen there. They're going to face Dallas on the 25th, although it's not going to be the same because AD, Gafford, PJ Washington, pretty much every center that plays in Dallas is not going to be available. So I don't know if there's a barometer there that you can measure on how good Dallas is versus the LA Lakers. But it will be TV heavy. It'll be very, very popular because it's very likely that Luka, being the competitive player that he is going to go in there and absolutely wreck shop or do it at the crypt. Sorry, because that's a home game.
Again, do you see Denver or OKC or Memphis slowing down the Lakers? I still think they're a good matchup for Memphis, even without AD. I know that Triple J will cause some problems because he's playing some of the best ball of his career, but I honestly feel that the Lakers do match up well with Memphis. OKC is the one I'm worried about, again, because they have so many different people that they could throw at Luka and LeBron. But the problem is you have to throw out so many people at Luka and LeBron. I know that OKC might have plenty of guys to do the job. Denver, they always try to throw Gordon at LeBron. And they thought, okay, that's good because we always got Jokic guarding AD. Now it's a little different because Gordon now has to choose, who do you want Gordon matching up against? Do you want him matching up against Luka or do you want him matching up against LeBron? So now that's the problem because Michael Porter Jr. cannot stick with LeBron. We've seen that already. That's where they take advantage. As far as Murray, he can't guard very well on the perimeter. So again, there might be some matchup that favors the Lakers in a series now as well.
Yeah, you can't really put anybody on Luka. You can. I mean, you're going to put somebody on there, but he's going to smoke them when it matters. Then you have LeBron freelancing on top of that. How are you going to guard against LeBron? You have
Gordon's their best option for both, Joe, and he can only guard one.
Right. So then you have AR, who also can ball handle in that setup. Then you have Rui, who's been hitting his shots. Then you have DFS, who's been hitting his shots. Then you have Gabe Vincent, who's been hitting his shots. The center position is not going to be hitting any shots. However, the threat of penetrating the paint, penetrating the hoop is going to open up some possibilities for the Lakers, either at the perimeter or if you commit too much to the perimeter, then you have an easy basket to the hoop with Luka or LeBron feeding the center, whoever that is at that moment. This Laker team, when it's at full capacity, health-wise, cardio-wise, everything, is going to be a problem no matter what. Now, if you look at the West, they're going to have to deal with Oklahoma City and they're going to have to deal with Denver. That's really the only two teams that they're going to have to deal with. And I say only as in, I'm not afraid of Houston. I'm not afraid of Memphis. I'm not afraid of the Clippers. I'm not afraid of Dallas. I'm not afraid of anyone in this conference other than those two guys. because Oklahoma City has a full roster. And you saw Chet Holmgren come back. He already had 5 blocks. You know he's going to do what he does. Oklahoma City has everything on point in terms of a full team ready to go on a run. Then you have Denver, who has, in my book, the MVP that's going to be this year, barring any major injury. You do have Michael Porter Jr., you do have Aaron Gordon, you do have Jamal Murray, all those staples of that team, all champions. However, if you watch the Lakers between against Denver the last 2 years, the same mistakes kept happening because there was a certain player that the Lakers didn't have at the point that could stomp that, and now they have him.
So yes, going into what we think is going to be a productive All-Star break, Joe, because Luka will be able to work on his conditioning a little bit more during that time off. I think that's good that he wasn't asked. I don't think he's been asked to go to the All-Star game for any ceremonies or whatnot because he didn't, uh, he didn't qualify as an All-Star member, didn't get voted in. I don't think so. He will get time to work with the conditioning team at the UCLA Health Center. I think that's going to be a benefit, Joe, because coming out of it, it's only about a week, but still, it still gives them time to get in a little bit better shape.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a break here that's coming in a few days. So they're going to kind of revert back a little bit, come back after the All-Star break, have to get back into shape a little more. I think the timing is great because they're going to start playing some of these elite teams at the end of February and beginning of March. This is going to be a test of what may happen here in April, May, and June. I'm not going to say the Lakers have a title run in them. I'm not going to say that yet. Still have to see how this develops in the next couple months. If the Lakers end up getting a 2 or 3 seed instead of a 4 seed, then you can start saying, hey, man, this Laker team might be for real. This Laker team is going to put the fear of God in anybody who plays them in the Western Conference Finals. As far as the East Coast is concerned, it's going to be Boston and Cleveland at this point. New York is good, but they're not that good. Orlando, Atlanta, Indiana, It's a two-man race again. It's a two-headed monster in the East. I'm expecting, unless a major injury happens, it's going to be Cleveland versus Boston. So putting all the teams together, it's really 4 teams that the Lakers are going to have to probably battle through to possibly win a championship. That is getting through Oklahoma City or Denver. Hopefully they get into a seed where they don't only have to face one team. If that is the case, that's going to be a huge advantage for the Lakers. If they have to play both, I think it's going to spell bad things in the end. And then they got one more to do, either Cleveland or Boston. Should they make it to the finals, that's going to be both teams are going to be a problem in terms of trying to get through that gamut.
It's so funny because you mentioned how the schedule gets tougher after coming out of the All-Star break, Joe. We actually Sean showed the rest of the season schedule as far as the teams that have the worst or actually the toughest schedule for the rest of the season. And it sort of showed the Lakers in the top 10. I think they were 9th according to his list at that time. This was like last week. Guess who was number 1? It was Phoenix, who lost tonight and is actually in the 11th spot in the Western Conference. So for a team that kind of bungled it at the trade deadline, didn't get themselves Jimmy Butler, still stuck with Bradley Beal, didn't do much outside of Nick Richards along the fringes, did get rid of Nurkic and his contract, but yeah, we may have to readjust our thinking on which teams don't make the play-in or don't make the playoffs because Phoenix, they don't look happy right now. Congrats to Kevin Durant on 30K. He was in the chat earlier, so thank you again. Congrats for hitting 30K. But yeah, we might have it tough, but Phoenix has a lot tougher.
If Denver is not careful, they may be on the out. Right now, looking at the 11th seed versus the 8th seed, you're looking at that 8th seed versus 11th seed is only separated by one loss in the loss column. Mm-hmm. One or 2 bad weeks from one of those four, Dallas, Sacramento, or Golden State, or Phoenix, might take them out. If you look at San Antonio, there's been a lot of talk that San Antonio is going to make a run because they have the Aaron Fox. I've watched enough San Antonio Spurs basketball the last year and change. I'm going to be honest. I'm not impressed. As
Okay.
good as Wemby is, I'm not going to say
They
he's
need more. They
Yeah,
need more.
I'm
from the
not
Spurs.
saying, and they have Castle, they have Wembyama, they have now De'Aaron Fox.
Fox.
Maybe they needed some time to gel and maybe go on a run here. However, I'm not going to hold my breath. There's
Yeah.
something weird going on in San Antonio, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there isn't a commitment yet to a coach. I think Popovich indirectly is holding that team hostage. He either needs to make a decision, either he comes back or he retires. I know he had a stroke. I'm not being insensitive to it. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that he retire and let this team develop 100% and have it focused on the new coach so that they can get on with their setup. Otherwise, there's always going to be this kind of half-ass thing going on in San Antonio, and no one's going to really know what's up. Like, is Popovich coming back? Or are we going to have to, guide ourselves into whatever he says versus who's coaching now? There needs to be clarification on how that works out. And until
Well, there's
that
still
happens,
5 games. There's still 5 games under 500. So
yeah,
I
they're
need to see
not.
5.
I'm not trying to say that Wembyama is not good or San Antonio is struggling, but they don't really know how to win. They're not winning yet. They may need another year or two. De'Aaron Fox might help them. Is it? But it might be too late. If they had him at the beginning of the year with some training camp, with one coach that's focused on telling this team how to do things, that's a whole different story. I don't have a lot of confidence in San Antonio at this point. I really don't, and definitely not Phoenix. Sacramento Kings could be one of those teams that kind of falls off. The reason why I haven't said Golden State Warriors because we know Jimmy Butler has a habit of playing out of his mind when it matters. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they might go on a run here to at least solidify a play-in. And then beyond that, you have Minnesota and then, of course, Dallas. Dallas right now have no centers. The morale over there is horrible. That might play into the fact that maybe they might not go where they need to go. Because I don't believe AD is going to be back in a month. I think it might be another month and a half to maybe in 2 months. I say this because I know who AD is. I'm a Laker fan. I've watched AD play basketball for 5 years. AD does not heal quick. And when he's injured, he takes a little bit longer than he should. When he's really injured, it's a scary thing. We saw that in 2001.
Mhm.
So I don't know if Dallas is going to make it. I really don't. I don't know if Sacramento is going to make it. One of those teams is going to make it, but I don't know which one yet. There's too much disconnect in those teams. One has lost their franchise player. The other has lost one half of their franchise, plus several players of depth in an area where they really need depth because that's what they built this thing on. It's a fiasco at this point. Who knows? Who knows what the hell is going to exchange between 7 and 11 at this point? I don't know. Clippers, Houston, Lakers, Nuggets, Memphis, Oklahoma City. The Clippers have enough star power to probably stay afloat and maybe even get the 6 still throughout this run here. I have no doubt that the Lakers are going to be anywhere between 2 and 5 when it's all said and done. I have no doubt that they're not going to drop below 5 at this point because right now, if you look at the standings, they're 4 games in the loss column ahead of the Clippers, making up 4 games with a team that's hitting its stride, and the Clippers being that team that's sitting at 6, whom don't really have any stride or any kind of feeling on what they're going to be other than kind of doing what they're doing. I don't see them getting better in a few weeks either. They're just kind of doing what they're doing because every time Kawhi or James Harden are somewhat valuable, they can actually win those games. But other than that, I don't see them making a major jump and, wow, these guys are going to go on an 8, 9, 10 game run. As far as the Lakers are concerned, hell yeah, there's a lot of morale, high morale over there. If Doncic continues to get better game in and game out, this thing's going to get very easy for them. Once they play these big timers like Denver and and Oklahoma City and Houston's and all those guys, and they win, let's say 2 out of every 3 of those games, now the Lakers are pretty much putting a stamp on what they're going to be this year.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, aka Ox1947 at LakersBall.com, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It truly helps out the channel, and we're greatly appreciative that you do. Also, become a member today for just $2.99 a month. I throw a few tidbits out there from time to time, including exclusive videos that you get to see first. There are shorts, including the one that's been banned by TikTok. That's available only for our members at this point in time. Plus, also as well, go ahead and check out everything there, including some articles, badges, emojis, and more for just $2.99 a month indeed. But Joe, I was going to save this for another day as far as exercise, but I figured I might as well go ahead and do it now. We got a nice big crowd, and they're curious about the Lakers as we head into Salt Lake City to finish off this portion of the season before hitting the All-Star break. So with Luka having had his first game and still needed to get into full game condition from, let's be honest, Ken, he did gas out from time to time during the game, but still a 60% Luka, 70% Luka, whatever you want to say, is a hell of a lot better than the majority of players that are out there. That's for sure. So with that, Joe, and he gets into full shape as far as being able to go back to the dominant player that he is, and you have him alongside LeBron and the rest of the team there. Let's line them up. Who would you put as a power ranking right now, taking a look at just the whole NBA, the entire NBA as a whole? Let's see where the Joe NBA power rankings stack up. So who is your number one team right now in the NBA as it stands heading into the All-Star break?
Oklahoma City 1, Cleveland 2, Celtics 3, Nuggets 4. Lakers would be sitting at 5, even ahead of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis is a very fast team. They're very young, run and shoot type team, but that usually doesn't bode well when they hit the playoffs. Usually things slow down a little bit in the playoffs, and if they're not running and gunning, they're going to be able to get taken advantage of.
That's fair enough. Absolutely. I would put Memphis, Denver, and the Lakers in that 4, 5, 6. You could toss them anywhere you like. I think they're all right around the same. But again, I think the Lakers match up well with Memphis and Denver. I think it now with the new dynamic with Luka changes the outlook on whether or not the Denver Nuggets will continue to go ahead and dominate the Lakers like they have in recent times. I don't think that will take place much longer now that Luka is here. OKC, again, you got to give them credit for what they're doing. They are doing what they need to do. They are dominating out there, especially on the defensive end. Number one defense in the league right now. It just absolutely just tearing it up there. But again, they're getting what they need out of Shea, who's Joe, since you called him out for not having a 50-point game, I think it's had 4 50-point games since then. I think he must have heard you, Joe. I really do. But Jay will, and like you said, everybody else that's attached to it, will they pick up the slack to help Shea put scoring into the basket for them as far as their offense is concerned? That's, I think, the ultimate question that needs to be answered. But yes, they do have a ton of different defensive looks that they give, which can pretty much slow down any team that's out there. Cleveland and Boston at this point in time is a toss-up. I'm still going to go ahead and put Boston as number 2 just because I think that, again, I think they're cruising at this point in time. I just don't think that they're playing at a serious level. And again, just reminds me of when the Lakers won all those championships. They would just not take the season entirely seriously at times. So I'm putting Boston at number 2, Cleveland at number 3. Cleveland is playing at a high level still, even to this day, even though they no longer have the NBA's best record. And then you could put the 4, 5, 6 seeds in a mix. I think that's right there as far as the teams that can win a championship. Do you see any other teams that can win a championship? And the only way I see Memphis winning a championship is Ja goes insane. That's the only way I see their pathway through.
We as a sports culture, I don't even know if I want to say we. I don't. I don't do this. I judge on a much harsher scale. So
Mhm.
when I hear Shea Gilgeous is this next great MVP type, whatever, I I watch Shea Gilgeous play. He's a phenomenal individual player, but would you think that he's the best NBA player in the NBA?
No, it's still Jokic to me.
So Jokic is the best NBA player at this point. You can say Shea Gilgeous because been playing the whole year is number two. And
But I
my
still
book,
think Shea is the MVP. To me, Shea is the
yeah,
MVP because he's
that whole discussion is always going to be controversial because
best player on the best record team,
right,
etc.
right. They complicated the award. It's an individual award. And I've said for years to avoid getting yourself in a situation where you have to justify who is what and who is better. Just give the damn MVP to the best player in the NBA. Who is the best player in the NBA? Well, Joe, he's got to make his teammates better. Fuck all that. Okay? Shut up. This is an individual award. Okay? This is, you want to say that uh, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown were integral parts of their team winning a championship last year? Yes, you're right. They are MVPs of their team winning a championship. The most valuable player, and I'm reading this as it says on the sheet, most valuable player of the NBA, most valuable NBA, National Basketball Association, most valuable player. That's how they introduce this. That means, according to what's written, that this is the most valuable player in its league. How I interpret that is this is the best player that's in this league. Now, if you want to cut it down to, well, he's got to win 40 games, he's got to win 50 games, he's got to win 80 games. I'm not going to really take you too seriously when you don't give the MVP to the quote unquote right guy for that criteria. And then all of a sudden you decide to give it to somebody else a few years later and call that guy an MVP for what? You gave the MVP to James Harden in 2018. You gave the MVP to Russell Westbrook in 2017. What's valuable? Valuable to their team or valuable in terms of the league? Who is the most valuable player of the league? If you're looking at it from a most valuable player of the league, maybe you have room to say, hey, this was the best player that year in the NBA. Was Russell Westbrook the best player in 2017, Gerald?
No,
Okay, so you believe that it was Steph Curry, right?
I believe that you could have picked out a couple more players after that, but again, the fact that he had won, or he'd gotten earned a triple double, and it hadn't been done since what, Oscar Robinson. So yeah, that's again that narrative. Even OKC finished sixth that season, if I'm not mistaken, Joe. So I would not have gone with Russell Westbrook for MVP. That's just my
Okay,
assessment
so
on that.
you're basing off the MVP not really as an individual award; it's a team award.
A little both. I say it is a mixture of both. For me, it's a mixture of both.
So I don't believe. See, that's the part where it gets complicated. This is an individual award; it should be based off individuality. The
But
best
he was not
player.
the best player. He was not
That
the best player
it
in the
used to
world
be.
that year.
It used to be like that, and then it changed for some weird reason in 1993. That's when I first noticed it.
Mhm.
I noticed it in 1993. They gave the MVP to Charles Barkley instead of Michael Jordan. And I remember thinking, ooh, it's nice that Charles Barkley won an MVP. But at the same time, like, is Charles Barkley really the most valuable player in the NBA with Michael Jordan still in his prime, winning championships and doing what he does? No, no, no one should have won an MVP between 91, 92, 93, 96, 97, and 98 while Michael Jordan was in the league. So if you look at those years, Michael won in 91, Michael won in 92, Charles won in 93. No business winning MVP that year. That should have been Michael again. Michael retires, comes back halfway through the 95 season. Fine. You gave the MVP to Hakeem Olajuwon in 94, which he deserved, and then David Robinson in 95, which he deserved as well. He just got smoked by Hakeem in the playoffs. It happens. 96, Michael wins an MVP again. 97, Karl Malone wins the MVP. Why? Why did Karl Malone win the MVP in 1997? And why did he win in 1999 when Duncan was the MVP in 99? These are the questions that we can ask ourselves. What's the criteria? It doesn't make any sense. It never makes sense, at least really since 1993 to me. Because if you look at the MVPs in the past, it was always going to the best player in the league from what I saw.
Well, I'm just telling you, if the season ended today, the press, seeing the narrative the way it is, would probably choose Shea over choosing Jokic again one more time.
I don't understand why that. I don't. You take Jokic off Denver, they're probably a 7-8 seed. If you take Shea Gilgeous-Alexander off of Oklahoma City, they're still getting a playoff seed, not a play-in.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you consider valuable at that point?
Again, I'm not.
So this is exactly why I'm talking about this, Gerald. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They complicated an individual award. The individual award belongs to the individual. It should be the best player in the NBA, most valuable player. That's what they have there. It doesn't say National Basketball Association's most important player of his team. It says National Basketball Association most valuable player. Give that award to the best player in the league, or create a offensive MVP, just like they have a defensive MVP in the NBA, and then you can go ahead and do your MVP stuff. You have to be consistent with this. It's a stupid discussion that continues to go on year in and year out. The individual award belongs to the best individual player of this league. Does Kobe's Laker team have any chance to compete in 06 if not for Kobe? But are you basing that off of the fact that they lost the 7 games in the first round? If he is not on that team has no relevancy. Nothing. What is MVP? Does it mean you have to be a second or third or 1 seed? Okay, put that in the fucking information then. Stop insulting my intelligence. This is an individual award. I've had this argument for 30 goddamn years. No one listens. Tell me the reason. What is it? What is it? What is this award? How do you give an award to someone who's not really the MVP? Charles Barkley in 93, Karl Malone in 97. How? How do you give an award to someone who's not better than Kobe Bryant in 06? How do you give an MVP award to anyone in 2010 when Kobe hit 7 freaking game winners? 7. Not 1, not 2, 7 game winners. What is more MVP than that? Explain this in English to me. If you know Slovenian, if you know Sudanese, convert it to English and tell it to me. I don't know what else to say. So, going back to the Lakers, going back to this playoff run, the Lakers are going to have to go through Oklahoma City and Denver if they continue to play the way they're playing. How that comes out is going to depend on really the big two. Again, it's going to come down to the big two. It always does. The great players show up. If they don't show up, much like they had in the last 2 years, LeBron fizzled out at the end of games because he was tired. AD could not stop anybody at the end of the game for whatever reason. I believe when you have Luka Doncic at full tilt, you're not going to have to worry about that as a Laker fan. That guy is going to be Mamba mentality and clutch as any clutch guy can be. The only difference is now versus what he's been doing in Dallas is he's got LeBron James hovering around. That's going to be a huge advantage. Huge.
I agree. Absolutely. That's the thing, Joe. Like you said, when Luka gets to full tilt, and obviously by the season's end, if he's healthy, and so the Lakers remain healthy and viable at that point in time, I think they have a good shot at possibly shaking up the Western Conference playoffs. We'll see how far it goes. Again, the matchups are there. Do you see anybody outside the top five? I mean, Memphis again. I want to throw in that mix just because again with Ja, I think that you would have to go on a real landscape. But you're saying no. You're saying
No,
no. You're saying Memphis in its current configuration can't find a pathway.
no, no. If the Lakers are healthy and on point, I don't see Memphis being. I'm not worried about Memphis.
Okay.
I'm not worried
Is
about
there
Memphis.
anyone else
That
that
that the
your
only
eye?
the two teams in the West is going to be Denver. And it's going to be Oklahoma City. So if the Lakers are able to get a third seed, and Memphis is sitting at 2, and then Denver's at 4, Oklahoma City is at 1, be careful. Be careful because that's the perfect seed for the Lakers. Perfect seed. They get to avoid both Oklahoma City and Denver on a possible run to the finals. And then looking at what's going on in the East, it's looking like it's going to be Cleveland or Boston. It's pretty much top heavy as it's been.
Natalia, when I think it comes to Houston, I think it's just come to experience. I think like OKC, they needed to test the waters out for their run last year. I think Houston needs a run like that before people or experts take them at a serious level. They are extremely talented. They've got an extremely bright future, but I think people are assuming that the fall that we're seeing them take right now, when they were in second place, now they've dropped down to fifth in the Western Conference, could fall a little bit more, but we're seeing a lot of that based off experience. And then it's in a 7-game series, Joe. It is vital to have that experience in the playoffs. It has helped you as a team more often than not to be able to go ahead and understand what it is that they're doing. I think OKC in that Dallas OKC series, I think uh, some of that could have been based off the fact that they had Dallas more veterans that they brought to the table that were able to go ahead and do things in the clutch that OKC just couldn't do. But that series was just so close that it could have gone either which way. I think that might have been the barometer there. OKC has now had that, like we saw with Boston, with when they were young, especially with Brown and Tatum. They learned over the course of years, getting higher and higher, and then ultimately we saw them get to the title. This time, again, I see the same thing for Houston. They're probably a year away before you see them as a serious threat. Again, Amen Thompson, extremely bright future, but I see them as at least a year away, Joe.
Houston's a big player away. I don't know if
Mhm.
they're going to be as good unless they get a massive star player on that team.
Outside of injuries, Ali, I don't see the Knicks coming out of the East unless injuries plague Cleveland and or Boston. So, your thoughts on the Knicks?
Knicks will have a chance according to how they're look. The Eastern Conference is pretty much set right now in the top 3. It's going to be Cleveland, it's going to be Boston, it's going to be New York. Regardless of how that flip flops, if Boston goes on a run and overtakes the first seed, sure, okay. Knicks are 8 games behind Cleveland at the 1. It's
And
very
they're
very
5.5 games ahead
yeah.
of Indiana.
It's very very difficult for a team that's got 30 plus games left that's going to come back usually from 8 games behind. It doesn't. It's not something that happens regularly. However, let's just say it does happen. Regardless, it's going to be Cleveland, Boston, and the Knicks that are going to compete between 1 and 3. Pacers, Milwaukee, they're an enigma.
I mean,
Yeah,
the Giannis factor.
they're an enigma. I don't know where they are, and it's likely that they're going to continue to be somewhere where they're not. Detroit is an up and coming team. They're another team, kind of like the Rockets, where they need probably one star player to get over there to really start competing. It's very hard for places like Houston and Detroit to get that player because no one really ever wants to go to Houston or Detroit. So I don't know how that would happen unless it was done through a trade.
And then you got teams in the Eastern Conference that are all under 500. So what
Mhm.
does that say?
Eastern Conference,
Yay! A
unfortunately, no matter how much we want to
subscriber.
tout them, they
Thank you.
continue. Yeah, thank you, Troyville. They continue to tease us. This has been since 1999, Gerald. This is not a 10-year, a 5-year thing. 1990 damn 8. The Eastern Conference cannot get their shit together at all. Think about that, guys. We're talking about it's getting close to 30 years where the Eastern Conference is constantly the shitbag conference with a couple of teams that can actually matter. So you look at 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, Detroit fluke title in '04, right? Then you have '05. It's going to go back to the West. Then '06, you have this Dwayne Wade 50 free throw situation where they squeak out a win there. And then fast forward all the way to last year. Last year was the only year that I can remember, other than maybe Miami in 2012, where you had an Eastern Conference team really deliver from beginning to end. And even in 2020, it's still arguable. Why? Because Miami was one game away from elimination in the Eastern Conference Finals until LeBron went GOAT mode. And then if you look at Boston last year, I'm not trying to use an excuse. I'm just saying this is how it played out. They played every team in the East without their number one player due to injury. And then they played Dallas, whom they waxed because they were able to expose Luka on defense, and they were able to expose Kyrie in every shape or form. And I thought also Dallas ran out of gas with that run because Dallas really shouldn't have been in the finals last year. They made a run. They spent all their energy. They really didn't have a full capacity team to probably be a champion. It would have taken like Luka would have had to have gone another level above whatever he was doing over there, which was I don't know how much more. What he averaged 40 points a game.
Subscriber.
You averaged
Thank
30.
you, Johnny.
Yeah, he averaged 30. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for him. Kyrie was the problem in that series. If there was ever an award that needed to go to LVP, it would have been, Kyrie Irving, least valuable player as I've ever seen for a guy with that kind of power.
Well, again, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But the Lakers, I think, Joe, again, to say that they have an opportunity and a chance against any team that's out there, I'm standing behind it because again, if Luka and LeBron are the type of guys that can get you, even LeBron at 40 years of age can still go in a 7-game series and get you 35, 10, and 10. And that may be enough in that type of environment to get you on by into the next round, Joe.
Clutch Gene is here, folks. Clutch Gene is in LA for the first time since Kobe Bryant was wearing the Laker jersey. All due respect to LeBron James, all due respect to Anthony Davis, they don't have the clutch gene. And I can sit here and explain what the clutch gene is, but I don't really feel like doing that tonight. I think you should go figure that out. Because I know there's a lot of LeBron fans out there saying, well, the statistics say LeBron hits more game winners than so-and-so. No. I want you guys to pay attention to the games the last 2 years. Forget about what the statistics say. Statistics have a place in this thing. You know, when I see somebody dropping 25 points a game, 20 points a game, 15 points a game versus 1.6 points a game, yes, you have a valid point in using that statistic. Absolutely. But I want you guys to pay attention to 9 games, the last 2 playoff series. Don't pay attention to anything else. What has happened in those 9 games? 8 of them have been losses. And a lot of those were close games where the opposition hit game-winning shots at the end twice last year. The results cannot be argued against. This is not about Joe Soro, Gerald Glassford, the Lakers fast break opinion. It's about the results. We're just magnifying it. And I want you all to pay attention to that. Got a lot of people out here tonight. Got a lot of people that are showing up lately. A lot of you are new here. This isn't your typical podcast. You're not going to get a bunch of yahoos playing with their dicks talking about bullshit. Okay? We're talking about real shit. We're talking about results. Okay? We're in the results business. If you're going to
There we go.
argue against what's going on, you need to bring proof on why. Because when we look at the proof where it matters, the results, you're going to be able to see and correlate what we're saying to it. Just saying. And it doesn't matter who it is, guys. If it was Kobe playing on this team, Shaq, we'd be saying the same thing. I'd be saying the same thing. I would not be sitting there going, Kobe is clutch. No, I'm going to go back to 2012 and tell you exactly what happened in the Oklahoma City series where Pau Gasol and Kobe Bryant cost the Lakers a series win in that series. Now, I couldn't do that back then because we didn't have this show then, but I would have done that. I would have done that at that time because they did cost the Lakers at the end of games. It's the only series other than the Detroit series where I saw a mortal Kobe Bryant.
Let me go into what Doobie said right now to you, Joe. Doobie, good man. Good. He is a part occasionally of our playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break live coverage. And Doobie, we love you in wins and losses. The phrase that you trademarked, by the way. Doobie says, I like Luka, but Joe, do you not keep it real about Luka? All you talk about is the good, none of his flaws. Like he's perfect. Come on now. Yes, he does have like LeBron. He does take defensive plays off. He's not a noted defender in any stretch of the imagination. Turnovers because of the usage rate, it's there. But Joe, you have two guys with the mentality to want to go ahead and take the ball when it matters. You have two guys that have the ability, as far as some of the best passers in the game. Jokic, LeBron, Luka, they're three of the best passers in the game, and two of them are on the Lakers. Yes, there are some flaws with Luka. There's no question about it, and especially right now because he's still trying to get himself into game shape. But all right, we'll go ahead and throw some of that out there. But still, Doobie, I know you're probably the last, or seemingly you just seem like you're one of the last guys on the ship of as far as the Lakers getting Luka. It seems like you still don't like Luka being on this team. I may be wrong, so let me know in the comments. But again, when you're given one of the best players in the world to set you up for possibly the next 7 to 10 years, you have to take that chance, Joe. You just have to take that chance.
To answer Doobie's question, I have a lot of respect for Doobie, so I'm going to paint this as clearly as I can. Luka was exposed on the defensive end in the finals. They attacked him, and they were successful. And the reason why it worked is because there's very few people like Michael Jordan, LeBron in his prime, Kobe Bryant in his prime, Hakeem Olajuwon in his prime. Very few players out there that can do both in a 48-minute game with that kind of pressure. We that's what it is. Now, how is that going to benefit? How is Luka going to be this star player with the Lakers? Well, the Lakers are gonna have to put together a team effort here in terms of defense. It's not gonna be an individual setup. Plus, the eras are different than it was in the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. It's completely different. Defense is not necessarily allowed to be played a lot, really, in this era. So my assessment on that is go ahead and do what you need to do to contain your opponent, but then shred them on the offense as much as you can because that's what the NBA has created here. That's how this has to play out. And Luka's never played with anyone of LeBron's caliber.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Kyrie Irving's career, guys, whenever he's been by himself, he's never been a one. Not even close. You look at Anthony Davis, he's never really been a one, as good as he is. So I asked the question, Gerald. I can't remember what your answer was, but if you had flipped LeBron in Kyrie's position last year, how do you think the finals would have played out?
I think they would have been a lot damn closer than what it was.
Absolutely. And Now, are we saying that because we're LeBron fans and he's a Laker?
I just think matchup wise, in a 7-game series, he brings a lot more than what Kyrie would have.
I'm saying this. I was saying this not even before Luka became a Laker, guys. I'm sure if you go back into our archives throughout the year, I said this. I remember it. I just don't remember what show it was. Kyrie Irving may have not cost the Dallas Mavericks the title last year completely, but he was the biggest part of why they didn't. And of course, you factor in Jason Kidd getting out coached by Missoula. That's a big factor no one's talking about. It is what it is, guys. The best players get exposed in series. Michael Jordan kept getting exposed 3 years in a row against the Detroit Pistons until Phil Jackson finally was able to implement a equal opportunity offense that allowed other players to be useful in that setup. And then now Michael Jordan wasn't just Michael Jordan rules. They had to deal with John Paxson. They had to deal with Horace Grant. They had to deal with a motivated Scottie Pippen. All that played into this because it's still a team game. It is still a team game, even though a lot of these individuals take credit and take the fall for their performances. It still has to be a team game, especially if you're going to win consistently. If you're going to win consistently, win back-to-back championships, win a three-peat, whatever. That all has to work out well. And unfortunately, a lot of things change year in and year out. Guys get paid more money. Guys get set in their ways in terms of being happy with that one title, whatever. It's a lot of stuff that factors into it.
Just wanted to post up some of the futures where some of the various sports books have, and also betting out as far as if you have betting apps. And it still has the Thunder right now, and most people, although the Celtics on some still are the favorites as well. Cavaliers look like they're third, holding down the third spot. Most of these different sports betting odds. Knicks, I think, are a little bit kind of high as far as they're maybe saying that something could happen in the Eastern Conference, and then the Nuggets followed by the Lakers after that. So again, Nuggets seem to be almost parallel with the Knicks as well. But yeah, take a look there just real quick, just to show you that, Joe. Depending on who you see and who you talk to, I know it has risen. The Lakers odds have risen as far as gotten more clear, becoming more of a favorite. I would put them again right now in that 4, 5, 6 mix right now as a team that has definitely a shot at winning the title this year. And I don't know if 2 weeks ago we would have been able to say just that.
No. I saw LeBron in a video when Luka was first sitting at the bench, and he made a play and looked over to Luka and said, this is what we're gonna do. There is something brewing here, guys. There is something brewing. I don't know if it's gonna happen this year, but I have very, very, barring injury, that's always the case, right? They don't get it this year. They're gonna get it. They're gonna have a very good shot next year because the Lakers organization is gonna go all in this summer in getting exactly what they want to put this thing together. This trade is so monumental. I don't even think, as much as we've been praising it and in astonishment of it, I don't think we really still have an idea of what this was, because you have to see it. You're going to have to see what happens. The enormity of this, if the Lakers end up winning a championship this year, would be bigger than any title that they've won in this century. That includes the title against the Celtics in 2010, because this team was looking at the bottom of the well with no water. And then all of a sudden they came out and said, oh, well, we're going to tweak this a little bit, and now there's water in that well for the next however long you want it. Luka Doncic is the only player in the NBA, in my view, and I had this even before he was a Laker, that has the Mamba mentality. That is a huge advantage, especially when it comes to the Lakers. It's a big thing, guys. It's a big thing. And then LeBron James. What can I say, man? I mean, I'm not shy to admit that something is going on with LeBron James and my focus now with him. I mean, if he continues to do this the rest of the year, even if they bow out in the Western Conference Finals, but they're ready to, they come out of there and they're like, "Hey, man, we went the way we went, but we're one or two acquisitions away from getting to the finals and winning it." LeBron James is in a position right now that I can honestly say that he's now in a position to probably get to that table next to Michael. He's got to win the championship though to do it. That's the reality of that. I know it sounds unfair, but it is. He ends up winning a championship, let's say next year, even though it's 5, even though it's just 5, not 6. You can't really deny who he is anymore. He is sitting on that table with Michael. And you can argue yes or no, it doesn't matter. He's sitting at that table.
And now you have Luka to go alongside him. And that to me, if it works out the way we think it will, Joe, it's a deadly combination, man.
It is, because Luka to me is going to be the point guard version of Larry Bird. He's going to win probably 3 MVPs before it's all said and done. He's going to probably win at least 3 championships. That's the number I have in my head. Barring injury, there is no way a 25-year-old phenom in the biggest forum of basketball on the planet, with all the resources that Jeannie and Rob can give him, how the hell is this team not going to win it all for the next decade? At least 2 or 3 times. I just don't see how it's not going to happen, because everyone's going to want to play with Luka. Everyone's going to want to play the pool. Imagine this, Gerald. Imagine if when did LeBron come to LA? It was 2018.
That's correct.
He was 34, right?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, Luka is 9 years younger than when LeBron came here. Imagine that for a second. And Luka is not high-stress basketball. He doesn't have to exert a lot of energy to get up in the air and be a fly-by act or whatever it is that a lot of these athletes are. He's not dependent on his athleticism. He's dependent on his sheer genius and how he can basically see the court. So use Chris Paul as an example, Gerald. Use Chris Paul. We've said this. Chris Paul was supposed to have a knee issues in the early 2010s. He's still playing in the NBA in 2025. I don't see how Luka's not going to be an effective point guard for at least the next 10 years, let alone maybe 12. This guy loves basketball, guys. This guy has the Mamba mentality. He is addicted to winning. You don't believe me? Go on Google and go look at how this guy plays. Go. Ripping his jersey off, yelling at Gobert after he hits a game-winning 3. This guy wants to win, and he not only wants to win, he wants to take your heart out, eat it, shit it, and give it back to you.
That's a good way to say it, of course. And that's the way that Joe likes to say it. Again, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is a snack pack. Don't forget, tomorrow, it is, of course, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. I'll put it here in the chat here in a second. Go ahead and join us for the simulcast, either on Playback or also as well YouTube, Twitch, and also Facebook as well. You can go ahead and follow along the scoreboard with us in the chat. And if you are one of 20 people, we do give out and have 20 VIPs on Playback so you can see what we're watching as far as the game feed is concerned as well. First come, first serve. But if you go, we get the next person in line, just to let you know right there on Playback. But also as well, of course, we do have the best post game in town right there after the game, right there for you at the Lakers Fast Break as well. But Dylan, I do not know if he's eligible yet. No one has claimed as far as he's not on the injury report or at all. He's not listed as of yet. He may have to go through the physical before he is cleared to go. I'm not sure if he will be playing in Utah or not. I think they could get a bye without him, Dylan, and plus also get him more acclimated over the course of the All-Star break. That's probably what they would do, in my opinion, even though they will not have DFS or Gabe in the lineup as well, because both those players will also be out against the Lakers. That's the latest injury report as of this time. But speaking of centers, and speaking of the fact that we got Alex, the trade that never seems to go away. Again, if you didn't get wind of it yesterday, Charlotte, who was so happy in their public statement to get Mark Williams back. We love you, Mark Williams. We just are so glad to get you back. The next day said, we'd really like the Lakers to have him. We kind of are questioning the Lakers rescinding the trade. We'd really like to go ahead and have all that good stuff we got that we had for just a moment, but had to give up back up. Your thoughts on this, and also as well when it comes to Dalton Connect. I've heard a lot of people speculate and stories that are out there about him being disgruntled, about learning a hard way about how life in the NBA is a business, about his possible discontent in coming back to the Lakers. I don't know how you could be discontented about coming back to Lakers when you have obviously going back to a much better team. Maybe it's just the process of being traded. I don't know. At this point, Joe, again, this is the trade that might never die. It has to be resolved at some point in time if it finalized, because Williams and Connect have got to play at some point, and Reddish too, for that matter, in case he's waived. He has to move on with his career. Your thoughts on finally putting this to bed, getting this done, getting them out there on the court for both teams, and putting this behind us as a bad chapter for NBA trades as a whole, not Lakers, not Charlotte, but just the NBA trades, and understanding sometimes how this business works.
Yeah, it is a business, guys. Can't get your feelings hurt when you get traded or fine. I mean, if Luka Doncic can get traded, who the hell are you? Who's the hell's Dalton Connect? Luka Doncic just got traded. A man who wanted to be where he was. A man who had just bought a $15 million home in a city he thought he was going to retire in. So who the hell are you? Who are you to get butt hurt? Michael Jordan played for the Wizards, folks. Who the hell are you? You all got to kind of wake up at that point. I know it's easier said than done with me sitting in my house doing whatever I want, but come on. We got to get over this, okay? Prove that they were full of crap at this point. How else am I going to tell you how to do this? I shouldn't be I don't know. I'm a nobody. You shouldn't be listening to what the hell I say. You should be listening to common sense at this point. Get in there, start making those open shots, and you'll see how quickly they realize, hey, we can't get rid of this guy. Otherwise,
dodge the bullet.
Otherwise, you justify why they were trying to trade you. If you suck ass the rest of the way, then you're proving them right. There's really no worry at this point as a Laker fan. There has been a massive 180 in the last 9 days. You have to come to grips with it, folks. You have to come to grips when you're wrong. When someone clowns you, when you're wrong, you have to come out, admit you're wrong, and that you got clowned. And then at that point, you give them props. That's what Jeannie and that's what Rob did. And that's what LeBron is doing. And you give them props. Hey, what do we keep talking about? Show us. Give us the results. We didn't think they were going to be able to do the results. I didn't think so. They had no indication going on that they were going to do anything close to something like this. But they did. And now we eat shit. And that's it. We support it now. We eat shit. And you apologize, whatever it is that you want to do. And now you start really going all in on what's going on. And understand that this is not likely going to happen again. We can't ever sit back and say, oh, these guys don't know what the hell they're doing. They got Luka mother effing Doncic at 25 years old. What are you going to tell management at that point? The biggest heist I've ever seen in my lifetime in any sport. It'll be stamped when Luka wins a championship in LA, and that's when the stamp is official. However, I don't see how the hell this team is not going to win a championship with Luka Doncic. Because history says anytime the Lakers get a star like this, they always at least win one. Always. The only great player, which they didn't acquire, they drafted, was Elgin Baylor in 1959. He did not win a championship. Well, technically he did, but he retired a
Yeah.
month and a half in the 1972 season, or 1971 to 1972 season. That's it, folks. That's it. There's a history of what, 77 years of the LA Lakers. Every star has won a championship except Elgin Baylor. So I don't see any reason why this won't happen. So we're here to support. We're here to analyze. We're here to guide and give analysis on what we're seeing, because that's the point of this show, is to entertain, also give you information to either validate what you're thinking or to tell you something that maybe you didn't know. Why? Because I don't really have a life. Okay, I work, I'm a family man, and I love sports. I don't go fishing. I don't go boating. I don't go hang out at the bars with people. I mean, I've gone to bars and I drink alcohol with friends, but that's not something I go do. It's a special occasion to do that. Okay. What I do is I spend about 4 to maybe 8 hours a day either reading, watching, or commentating on sports. And by the way, I don't make a goddamn dime doing it either. At least not yet.
Not yet.
That's how much I love it.
But we're hoping, again, to split not only through us here, eventually through the LFB once we get to that big stature, but also as well with your own channel coming up in the not too distant future, the Dodgers Fast Pitch. Sharon says, I have yet to hear a good explanation for why the owners gave up on Luka. They basically said they gave him 7 years. Did they give him a team? I mean, they got to the NBA Finals, Sharon, but again, at the latest comments that were made over the course of the weekend by the Mavs owner, stated it was about the culture, the question about his commitment to the team, Luka's commitment to the team based on his conditioning, and also the culture and how they wanted to go ahead and get AD or bring something in there that brought better culture to their team. They're what, less than a year removed from being in the finals against Boston, Joe. Again, I don't know how much better culture you're going to have without, of course, Luka, and we're seeing it now fall apart in Dallas as we speak. I mean, all their big guys are just falling down like trees. I mean, Powell's out, Lively's out, Gafford just sprained his knee, and of course, the big injury of all to AD. Your thoughts, my friend, on Dallas? I mean, at this point, can they just outright say they just didn't want to commit the $345 million to Luka in the offseason?
It is of no concern to me, Gerald. Absolutely no concern. I don't give two shits about who the owners in Dallas are, what they do, who they trade. The Mavericks looked like they were assembling a team to win a championship last year, so kudos to them. The problem is they stopped doing it. For whatever reason, I couldn't give two shits about what Dallas does from here on out. I don't care if they exist. I don't care if they go to Vegas. I don't care if they go to Zimbabwe. I don't give a shit what Dallas does and who their owners are. I don't give a damn. Okay? All I know is Luka Doncic is an LA Laker, and he is going to be treated the way you're supposed to treat stars. And that's one thing you'll never deny a Genie bus or any bus ownership, how you take care of your stars. And Luka already knows he's in a different place. It sucks for him because he was settled where he was. He was happy where he was. But he's gonna quickly find out that he just went from a mansion to a palace. Mansion is still good. He is in a palace where he's going to be king in LA. When you're loved in LA, there's nothing like it. Go ask Shohei. Go ask Mookie Betts. Hell, go ask Teoscar Hernandez. Go ask Kike Hernandez. They love you in LA. You are an icon even before you're an icon in LA. And
Let me go ahead and ask you.
He is a magician. I'm sorry, I keep doing this, Gerald. I'm sorry. He is a magician on the court, which LA is very used to magicians on the court. This whole thing started from that man, Magic Johnson. And now you have Luka Magic coming. What better way to celebrate this?
Doobie has a good question. A Sin Blades related question. And if you live in the Southern California area, all you new viewers, listeners, if you live in the Southern California area, Joe owns a business called Sin Blades, SYN blades.com. Sin with a Y, blades.com. Takes care of you as far as you're transforming your lawn into something much different and something much more spectacular and beautiful than it is today. Sinblades with a Y.com. Doobie said, question, Joe, if at sinblades.com, it's Sinblades, if your best employee were immature and lazy, would you give them a raise or get rid of them? Because again, Doobie is not getting on that Luka ship willingly anytime soon.
It's very difficult to be lazy and stupid in my industry. You can't function. The work in my industry is hard labor and brain activity. If you're stupid and you're not working hard, you're not going to be able to create a good product. So I don't know if you can really compare the two. And I can't really understand someone like Luka being lazy when he's essentially dropping almost a triple-double in the high 20s and scoring every game. So what difference does it make if he's got 15% body fat versus 8% body fat when he can bust your ass game in and game out? Are you worried about when he turns 33? Why? Why are you worried about that now? He's performing now. Sure, I'd love to have him playing that way at 33, but that's not how it works. So yeah, it's hard to compare the industries. You can't.
Okay. Doobie says he's on board with this, by the way. Okay.
It doesn't matter. Look, if Doobie has a different opinion on whether this is good or not, that's fine. He has that right. But if you look at the metrics of this, if you want to go technical, you're really going to get your answer from that. Eye test, you'll get your answer from that. I can't explain any other way, honestly, visually, than to watch our reaction. It's in 2 videos, guys. If you want to look at the archives here, Gerald put up almost an 11-minute snippet of that instance, or you can watch the whole show. Folks, I'm not sitting there in shock. I could not talk. I make my living, personal and in business, to think quick. Sean Grice was busting my balls for 30 minutes. And I was sitting there like a fucking idiot, not knowing what to say. That does not happen in my life. I didn't know what to say. I was gone. I was in shock, and it wouldn't go away. I'm sitting there like, and then I'd just be quiet for another 10 minutes. You tell me, what would have created that beyond this?
Giannis?
Maybe
Jokic?
I don't even think Giannis would have done that.
Jokic. How about Jokic?
Probably, yeah. Jokic, you can say yes. Exchanging Jokic for AD and then Jokic with LeBron, absolutely. Yes. But I don't think it still would have been as crazy as Doncic, because Doncic, in my book, is going to be better than Jokic in the end, which is crazy to think that. but I really, really, really feel that he's going to be better in the end. Jokic was drafted in 2014, folks. 2014. Jokic won his first championship in 2023. And look what he's done since, what is it, 2021? Yeah. Luka's about to come into that area, guys. And not only is he going to do that, he's going to be doing it in an LA Laker uniform where you know that this organization is going to pump this sucker up until it hits because that's how they do it. And I'm embarrassed that I didn't stay patient enough to wait for something like this. But it's easy to say that now because I would have never imagined anything like this. How can you really go back and say that? You can't. You'd be full of shit.
Before we head on out, my friend, before we go ahead and close out thoughts on the Lakers, I wanted to go ahead and touch on something that we didn't talk about much on this show was the ownership battle in regards to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And reason why I say that is because it looks like the duo of Mark Lore and Alex Rodriguez, by a 2-1 vote in an arbitration ruling, now will become the owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the only reason I say this might be important is because the fact, Joe, that leading up to it, well, I would say fact, but there was a lot of reports saying about how those two would look at streamlining the team a little bit differently because the fact that they are going to become costly, as Edwards, Reed, all the other players that are on the team. They've got a lot of youth on that team. They would have to go ahead and satisfy monetarily. Of course, Gobert and his fat contract. That team is going to become really pricey in the not too distant future. And they were looking at reports before all this fiasco started into going ahead if they were to gain control and streamlining it. Now, they talked about during the trade deadline going after Kevin Durant. That was heavily speculated on, and ESPN reported on that. A number of teams didn't quite work out there. But now with the new owners in place, seemingly, as that continues, could you see a shift away and some of the more valuable players being moved to other teams, i.e., possibility of one of those big guys being moved to the Lakers?
I don't know about that. I do commend the Timberwolves for going after Durant. That could have shifted a few things had they gotten him. If they had kept Naz Reid, if they had kept Anthony Edwards, I don't know if Gobert would probably be in that package. But let's say it wasn't. Let's say they were able to trade Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, maybe Mike Conley, and some draft picks for him. I don't know. That could have been a very interesting team going to the playoffs. I don't know if they would have won it all, but it would be very interesting. And it's good that they tried. Thing is, I don't know if A-Rod and his people are the ones that initiated that in any way. I don't think so. But it's hard. It's hard to be a Minnesota Timberwolves operator. No one wants to go to Minnesota. You have to draft all the guys that you want to be there, or you got to pay a high premium to get players to come over there, i.e., somebody like Rudy Gobert. Julius Randle was part of the Cat trade, kind of collateral damage at that point. The NBA is too strict to the NBA is too strict to really have kind of a next level vision to run the team unless something like what happened with Doncic happens to your team. A lot of people were talking about, well, why didn't you open up discussions with other teams? Folks, Luka Doncic is not going to stay in Minnesota. If they had traded him to Minnesota, he would not have stayed there. If they traded him to Milwaukee, he probably wouldn't have stayed there. So what they did is they figured out, where is Luka going to go where that team is going to say yes to a deal we want and we can get something in return that we want. That's exactly what happened with Dallas. That's why it turned out the way it did. So while you're sitting around thinking that there's some alien conspiracy that entered Adam Silver and all of a sudden he's like my league is going down the shitter. Let's get Luka to LA. While your dumbass is thinking that, you're not realizing that this is the same league that is about to start a $76 billion TV contract. Stop believing everything you fucking hear on TV. No one is signing a $76 billion. Did I say that again, Gerald? Billion, not million, $billion TV deal. And all of a sudden, oh, ratings are down. Oh, the league is falling down. Folks, if falling down is collecting $76 billion on a TV deal, then please drop me off of the stairs. All the bullshit about the Super Bowl. Oh, they want this Taylor Swift ending. They want to do this ending, and the refs this, and the refs that. And then what happened? The Eagles took those refs, and they took the Kansas City Chiefs, and they shoved it up your ass so that you can feel it this time. Stop believing everything you see on the internet. The internet is full of fucking morons, and most of you are part of those morons. Stop listening to trash. Focus on the game. If you got something that makes sense, at least bring some evidence your way. Why do you think they're cheating? Well, because some guy on the internet put some meme on there and now I believe it. Just say that, because that's exactly where you got it from. You're not doing any research. You're not going over there finding out what ref's doing what. You ain't doing shit except putting your finger up your butt and believing what you want to believe. Am I wrong or am I right? I don't know.
Doobie says, you know what my problem is, Joe? He says he feels like Nico and the Mavs were right, and I'm scared we're going to find out what he's with us. Like they knew something that we don't by moving Luka over to here. Like similar to what the Williams trade, where we didn't know everything as far as the problems with Williams. There could be something chronic there. There could be something. Who was the player? There was a player I just heard mentioned the other day. They found an actual cancerous tumor on his kidney because he was traded, and yeah, they had to rescind the trade, but it was because they found a cancerous tumor on his kidney. But fortunately, I believe, if I remember the story, some Bobby Marks, one of his latest videos, that did get taken care of. But they could have found something very serious with Mark Williams. But the thing is here, as what Doobie's saying, is there something serious behind the scenes which caused Nico to do what he did, or the owner to say what he said, and the owner to get the owner to do what Nico did?
I'm going to put your mind at ease here, Doobie. Let's say there is something. Let's say Luka has a debilitating alcoholic issue. Just throw it out there. He doesn't, but let's say he does. His contract runs out. He can pick up his last year's contract in 2027. AD's contract wasn't going to finish until 2028. We had made it very clear that the Lakers were not likely going to win a championship this year. And if they were not going to win a championship this year, definitely not going to win a championship the following year. Why? Because they still would have had to have paid AD and LeBron the money that they're paying them. Who the hell else is going to come other than some low-rent MLE pickup or some veteran minimum pickup, correct? They could trade Austin Reeves. They could trade Rui for some player, but who? Who's going to be out there? What third star is going to be out there that's going to be traded to LA? Who knows? Probably no one. So fast forward to Luka. Luka all of a sudden has a debilitating injury where he's not going to be able to play anymore. The Lakers are out of that contract at the end of 2027. They get to start over. That's the end game, worst case scenario. You take that risk because now you're 1 year ahead of rebuilding and LeBron isn't on the team. You then can go and build the next dynasty, the next team that can play, whatever. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now imagine this, Doobie. Imagine this. Imagine if they didn't make the trade. You don't think that AD would have ripped his abdominal in an LA Laker game at the same time? That was likely a lingering issue that finally, because he probably was playing through some kind of abdominal issue. And then what happens when you play, when you're injured, you play and you affect other parts of your body. So when you have a knee problem, the pressure of that knee issue usually goes to the calves, the lower leg area, the ankles, the feet, i.e., Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson tears his ACL. Following year, he tears his Achilles because likely from compensation. So you can't go through your whole life worrying about stuff that might not work out. You make this deal 100 out of 100 times, regardless of the risk. No one makes it in this life the way they want to without risk, guys. That's another thing that you guys want to learn. If you want to play it safe, you want to do the 9 to 5, you want to make your money guaranteed every 2 weeks, fine. But you're going to be submissive to the system at that point. If you want true freedom, you want to be the best, there has to be some risk. Has to be some risk. And you got to be willing to take that risk. You remember in The Last Dance, Gerald? Remember the second year when Jordan broke his leg?
Yep.
Everyone in management was like, Michael, you cannot risk getting a career-ending injury. But who knew his body better than anyone? But MJ. MJ knew. And he got tired of the loser mentality that these guys had. They wanted to get a better draft pick, all this BS. He said, no, that's not how you build a team. That's not how you build winners. If I can play, I want to play. Stop worrying about what's going on. And that's what this is. You go all in, baby. You go all in. Put the damn thing on double O. Double O on the roulette table. Let's freaking go get it. Because if it hits, you're looking at multiple championships, guys. And you're going to see another jersey in the rafters. And Luka, if he wins, let's say 3 championships, he's going to have a statue outside Staples on top of that. I'm sorry. The crypt.
The crypt, yes. No worries. Force of habit. I say it too. But before we head it out, just wanted again to give you a status report. LeBron James and Austin Reeves. Probable. Luka Doncic. So good to see him as a eligible player. And Bronny James. I'll leave that to your interpretation on Bronny. Are questionable. With DFS, Maxi Kleber, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent are out. I know that some people was mentioned in our WhatsApp chat earlier today about Maxi Kleber coming back sometime in April. Again, if he does, that's an extra body. It's, great. He is not the player he once was when he signed that last contract of his, and his numbers have gone in somewhat of a tailspin even before he got hurt. So anything we get from him, like for instance Alex Len as well, is a bonus. But for tomorrow, Joe, with what they have, even without DFS, Gabe Vincent in the lineup, I still think they're going to get it on done.
Yeah, they should. It'd be nice to end this on an 8-game winning streak before the break. Much needed break. They come back. They play Charlotte, which I believe they should beat, and also Portland in Portland. And then the big games start coming right after that. Win the games you're supposed to. Keep the momentum going. And then be competitive in these tight games. Even if you lose these games in tight games, it's okay. You still can take something from them. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that feeling of opportunity instead of dread. Because I felt dread with Denver for a while now. It's like, are they going to really win this? Are they really going to do what they need to do? I'm telling you right now, Gerald, if the Lakers win that game and Luka drops 28, 11, and 10, all that stuff that's happened the last couple of years is going to go away. Denver's not going to feel invincible against the Lakers anymore. They're going to be like, oh, crap. Now this guy's here. That's what's going to happen, especially in Denver. The crowd will feel it. Now, if you want to put a button on this, him hitting a game winner, that's actually what I want more. If you came to me and said, you want a blowout in Denver or do you want a game winner? That's going to be a hard decision for me. That's going to be a real hard decision because they've been losing a lot of those games, if not all of them. And then now you have Luka coming out of nowhere, drops a game-winning 3. Now does that affect Denver more than a blowout? Because they could always just say, well, they got us on a bad day. But if it's a last second shot, they'll be like, man, we played our asses off. We had the lead going into the last minutes, but this time they have Luka, and Luka made us pay. Feels good, man. That having that opportunity feels so good right now.
It does. And I'm looking forward to going ahead and seeing more of it tomorrow on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. I put it there in the chat. I'll put it up here in a second right there. But before we heading out, we got a super chat. Truly appreciate 805 dropping that for us. So, my friend, the question is for you as I try to find it and recover it. Yes. Would you rather be killed by a tiger or a bull?
Damn. Bull.
I don't know. You want to be gored to death?
Yeah.
Okay.
The gore could hit you right in the heart and you'll be dead. But a tiger is going to eat you while you're alive. Yeah.
Okay. I'll go with the bull as well. It's a bunch of bull, but what are you going to do? But yes, please join us, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And then, of course, the best post game that's out there is, of course, right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Again, please like and subscribe. If you want to become a member, trying to do some things behind the scenes, of course, over the All-Star break, I will be adding some stuff for members as well. We will have regular shows as well on top of it. We will not go dark over the All-Star break like some of those other Lakers channels. Will be here for you. Hopefully you'll be here for us. But yes, truly appreciate you joining us. Big shout out to our mods, Sports Baby, Xbox, somewhat distracted by the beautiful landscape in Surfer's Paradise down under. Sports Baby, Kurt Affair, truly appreciate the great job that you guys do in modding each and every time out. Truly cannot thank you enough, Sharon, Ali, everybody out there, Jay, Quabina, Doobie, the list goes on and on. Even our new viewers that subscribe tonight, I am so grateful for you subscribing. But Joe, as we head on out, you've already answered the question from 805. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
I just want to thank everyone for being here. Combination of just Laker excitement and Luka Doncic mania. Our show has been picking up a lot of an audience, and I'm hoping that those of you who have arrived for the first time here in the last few weeks, I hope we're entertaining you, because the entertainment will continue to get better. The production value is going to get better, and the buttons are going to get better. Buttons on everything we do.
I don't know. The rants may not get better because we're all happy still with the Luka.
Well, the rants will be guided towards the enemy versus within.
Or the refs. How about that? There you go.
I try to stay away from the ref thing as much as I can, just because everyone always whines about the refs when they're losers. I have, unfortunately, the only issue I had with the refs is more of an NBA issue than a ref issue. Is these freaking reviews need to get done quicker.
Let's go take a look at the replay, Joe.
Yeah, just get this thing. Adam Silver, you're sitting there talking about 10-minute quarters. How about you make a 10-second goddamn review? How about that? Baseball does this, by the way, folks. They only challenge plays when it's absolutely obvious that it needs to be challenged. If it's not challengeable, get it done quick. They need to figure that out if you want to get things done quicker. That's it.
Yep, absolutely. The words, though, to piss off Joe during the game. Let's go take a look at the replay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasting my time is not just a sports issue. It's a life issue. Wasting my time is the number one pet peeve in my life. I will sit there and I will teach you how to do a job one day, a week, a month, if you're honest and ready to do it. You waste 5 seconds of my time and I'm not going to like you very much.
Well, that's a good question by Kurt before we head on out. Brandon Ingram signed a 3-year extension today for $120 million. The reason why it's only 3 years because he'll be around 30 years old when he's eligible for another contract. Is he worth it? And I said definitively, without hesitating, no.
No, but they have no choice in Toronto, guys. Much like Minnesota, much like New Orleans, much like now Dallas is looking. The only way people are going to go to Dallas is if they or Minnesota or Toronto is if somebody trades players to them or they get somebody in the draft. That's just how it plays out.
And we will see how it plays out for the Lakers tomorrow against Utah. And then, of course, we'll go into the All-Star break. But again, we will have plenty of content over the coming days, including our disdain for the All-Star format. We will not be watching the All-Star game, although if you guys want a playback of the All-Star game, I'll see who might be interested in doing that. I will not be watching it. I'm sorry. I got better things to do. Watching paint dry, I think, would probably be something I'd rather do than watch the All-Star game. But if you guys want, and if it's available,
you ever watched paint dry, Gerald? You ever watched paint dry before?
Yes, I did. Actually, in this room right here. Yes, I did watch it dry. So I could put up all the stuff behind me. So
yes. You'd rather be in that room watching the paint dry before you put the posters up than watch the All-Star game?
Absolutely. Yep. Hey, cannot stand the All-Star game. They've already gone to 200. There's really nothing else left. They don't try hard. They don't even like this new format. They've already been pissing on it. KD already pissed on it the day that it was announced. So yeah.
Well, those people, those idiots should take fault in why it's like this. It's because you assholes played like bums because you got to get paid for every second you do something instead of having some pride and representing your league like the your forefathers did. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, all these guys, when they played in the All-Star game, they took pride in this and played to win. So if you had just done that, we wouldn't have to worry about this bullshit. So look in the mirror, Kevin Durant. This is your problem. You and your players.
I'm telling you guys right now, it's a miss for me. That whole this whole All-Star weekend, Joe, there's a ton of stuff for pop culture. As you know, I host the Pop Culture Cosmos, which covers the latest news and trends twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts, the Pop Culture Cosmos, where I gotta go ahead and see if I can catch at some point in time soon. Of course, you know what's coming up with Captain America. The ending of Cobra Kai. Gotta watch that. That's gonna be crazy. Severance. Possibly one of the best episodes of Severance, one of the best shows on television. Just got better on the last episode. What's coming up next? Got to catch that. There was so much going on. The Daytona 500. I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. I won't have time to watch all that All-Star, the celebrity stuff, the dunk. Okay, how many more variations of a dunk have we already seen? I mean, Blake Griffin jumping over cars, the windups, Mac McClung has won the slam dunk championship twice, I believe, correct? Just twice? Yeah. Need I say more? And I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's for me, I find these are the times I find better uses of my time. But we will be here for a nightly update to talk about Lakers stuff, to talk about the All-Star game if you want to, because I'll catch some highlights and stuff like that. We'll get you up to speed on that. And again, if you guys really want a playback of it, and if playback does have it eligible, I'll see in the chat or WhatsApp chat if anybody wants to host it, and I'll set it up. So we'll go ahead and do it. Yeah. Jay says All-Star Saturday night is my night. It's usually a waste of time to these days. I get it. They're not serious, Joey. They're not serious. It's not like the old days. I mean, Joe and I, in our younger years, we used to see what happens when they took it as a challenge. But in these days, with all the money that's on the line, as far as if they get hurt, it just so many other different variables and reasons, they just don't take it seriously. And I won't take it seriously either. So that's it. Yeah, JSJ again, Cobra Kai final episodes this weekend. So. Yeah, got priorities, man. I got priorities.
Good deal.
But yes, we will be here throughout the weekend. Should we take a day off somewhere in the mix or just keep it flowing?
You decide.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. We'll go ahead and shout it out. and try to keep you guys entertained, because I know the All-Star break probably won't do it for you. So we'll be here to do it for you. Again, it's Gerald Glassford along with Joe Soro. We are here as far as the Lakers Fast Break. Tune into us, Xbox, Magic Man, John Costa, the whole crew. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts tomorrow night as the Lakers headed to Salt Lake City to finish off this part of the season against the Utah Jazz. Can they do it? Can they finish on such a high note before heading to the All-Star break? We will find out. With the best show that's out there, the best simulcast that's out there, and the best post game that's out there right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.